Tomorrow on Tuesday, NEO will release quarter results, and I am knee-deep into NEO. Not only the $1,000 challenge where I try to grow $1,000 as fast as possible, but personally I have taken a huge stake into NEO. And NEO is expected to swing minimum 10% up or down on the quarter results. Last week, my title of the podcast was Time for Next Upturn. Nasdaq up 2% last week, Dow Jones up 1.6%, and S&P 500 up 1.9%. So green week it became. The question is, will it continue this week, or are we heading for a downturn? You are listening to the StockInvest.us podcast, Trading Tips with Jim. And if you already like it, make sure to subscribe and like. Here is what is expected to happen this week. First off, there will be not too many big news. I would say the biggest news this week will be what will happen with the peace talks in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine. That one, sadly, I think it will affect the market hugely. Other than that, there will be job opening numbers on Tuesday, tomorrow, expected to be 7.7 million, down from 7.2 million. It's telling something about where the economy is going. It will also be unemployment numbers on Friday, expected to remain at 4.2%. That will be unemployment numbers for May. Many will argue that Wednesday's beige book from Fed is the one thing that you should look out for, but it's just Fed explaining what they think about the economic future. The quarter results are more or less in, and they have been beating estimates one company after the other. This week there are a few companies, some big. I will mention some of them. CrowdStrike will come tomorrow, expected to swing 5.2% up or down on the quarter results. The quarter results is expected to worsen from 20 cents profit last quarter to minus 30 cents on this quarter. Dollar General will also come. NEO, as I mentioned in the opening, will come, and I am very excited to see how NEO will do. Nobody expects NEO to come with positive results. It's expected to reduce the losses, and this will be the main key. Yesterday's vehicle release indicates that maybe we shouldn't have too big hopes. Anyway, if NEO managed to go from 36 cents loss in the quarter to 22 cents loss per quarter, it's expected to do hive movements. The estimates for the future of NEO, the earnings estimates, are optimistic, not breaking even anytime soon, but they are optimistic. And if NEO is able to follow that, the price of NEO that should increase rapidly. And as I said, I have taken a huge personally exposure into NEO, and I've told you this all along the road. Talking about the stake I took into Tesla. When Tesla fell down, I used the chance to pick up Tesla $238, $239 and $242. Have paid off extremely well, and everything indicates that Tesla will continue up. But like everything that goes very fast up, there will be a short-term reaction down. On Wednesday, there will be $3 and ChargePoint, and ChargePoint is an interesting company. In my opinion, it's expected to release less losses, only to lose 9 cents per share on the earnings. The swing is expected to be plus minus 8.6%. Why do I mention these swings? Well, that is, if you want to take a gamble, you can, for instance, position yourself into NEO, hoping that it will be good results, and expect your shares to go up 10% tomorrow if it's good results. In worst case, it's down 10%. That is how you lose money. You take too much of a gamble. But some people like it, and some are able to pick the right direction. Thursday will be DocuSign and Broadcom, and none of them are expected to swing very much. What is very interesting in my opinion is that a lot of the companies that will have quarter results this week is expected to reduce their income. DocuSign is no favorite of mine. I think it's a hype from COVID time. Cannot understand why the company should have the kind of valuation it has. The earnings is expected to go down from 29 cents per share to 25 cents, or a loss of 14% in earnings. I promised myself before starting this week's podcast that I will be shorter than normal. Why spend 30 minutes talking if we can do it in 20? So let's try to get through the other things. Here are some of the things that will follow. I will give you an insight into the amount of buy and sell signals on some of the different exchanges. I will come with a conclusion if I think market will continue up or down, give a little more insight into the Nasdaq chart. I will give you 5 stocks with buy signals. I've been giving this over the last few weeks. I can tell you that last week's 5 went in plus, the 5 of them, but not too impressive. I'm changing a little bit tactic in this week's podcast. I will, as usual and always, also tell you about the $1,000 challenge, where I'm trying to grow $1,000 as fast as I can. We were up at $4,000, but have been on a steady decline since. Where we are now, what I'm doing next, you will have to wait till the end of the podcast. And again, remember to like and subscribe. And while talking about these things, there is one lesson I really want to give you, and that is you have to have your own opinions. It's, except follow the trend, maybe and reduce your losses, one of the best tips that I can give you. You have to learn to have your own opinions. If you totally disagree with me, please feel free to comment. So you should have your own opinion, because you are the one to make all the decisions. If you should buy or sell, you should just use people like me and others as sources of information, but make the decision yourself. You can read all about this in the 3 chapters on how to lose money while trading. If you are a Stock Invest user, and I believe most of you are, you will find that in your profile section. The amount of buy and sell signals indicate if the market is high or low, and usually very correct in determining where the market will move next. Looking at all stocks that we analyze, some 40,000 stocks, that will be 31% is giving buy signals, is starting to get a little bit in the upper end. Last week was only 26, but it's far from where we are at the risk levels. Nasdaq 16%, last week was 12, and I told you, well, that is usually very low and where it's a good opportunity to get in. When things are very low, you expect volatility, and last week just showed exactly that. A lot up or down on the market, and this is expected to continue, especially for Nasdaq. New York Stock Exchange, 28% buy signals, up from 17% buy signals. Good week for New York Stock Exchange last week, the stocks listed there. Still not very high, but getting also up at the level. And just to give you an idea, of course, this is from 0 to 100, it's just a percent of amount of buy signals. When we start to get up above 30, we start to get huge optimism in the market. At some point, this optimism will become too high. Usually that is around 40s, but it can continue way up in the 40s. We've seen New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq up at 48 many times. But then I always say the same thing. I am reducing my exposure because it's way too high. New York Stock Exchange at 28 means that there is plenty of upside for the market. We are talking mainly what will affect the markets of these major decisions. And I mentioned already that there will be peace talks in Istanbul between Ukraine and Russia. And if these things fail, we are heading towards really bad scenarios, and I cannot understand why markets should go up. Then we have to stay in gold. And anyone following the podcast know I bought gold at 1,600. I decided to sell out just under 3,000, 2,950, because I saw the weakening of the dollar against euro. I was bought in euro. With the idea that Trump actually would be able to broker a deal between the countries and that we could focus on growth instead. But there is so much resistance towards this getting peace that maybe just maybe I should have stayed in gold. Time will tell, because if these things doesn't get settled, just expect gold to just continue. Then my target of 3,500 is nothing. It will be 5,000, 6,000, maybe even 10,000, because there will be no assets that has anything close to the validity like gold. Gold currently sitting at 3,365. Very, very good news is 10-year Treasury yield. 10-year Treasury yield went at 441, down from 4.5. This is important because if this go down, you can expect the market to go up. Oil, which is so important for inflation, stay at 62, and I'm so happy to see prices going down everywhere. In most countries it's going down, especially those related to energy, and most things are related to energy. I filled the car the cheapest I have filled it in more than 2 years, maybe even 3. I think that is very nice. It will affect the economy and the earnings very positively. But let's get back to the signals. London at 26, Oslo at 27, remain the same for the last week. Frankfurt at 35, starting to get a little high there, while the National Stock Exchange of India went down from 51 to 35% buy signals. Tokyo 37%. There is a lot of interest around what is happening with Japan and the interest rates, because people have been borrowing very cheap money in Japan, exchanging for dollars. And that super trade may be coming to an end. It might be off. It could send some huge shakes into the financial market. Shenzhen, China at 23, up from 21. If we look at the Nasdaq chart, and here comes the conclusion. Nasdaq is overbought on the long term. Actually, it's not overbought, it's just was overbought. But there is a huge buy signals from the relation between the long and the short moving average. In this case, it will be moving average 50 and moving average 150. That signal is very, very strong. It can be wrong, but the way it is constructed is of the stronger type. When market is high up on the relative strength index, it can continue to just push up. If we go a few months back, there was issued a strong sell signals from the same signal, just opposite sell signals, and Nasdaq fell from 19,500 all the way down to 16. And now picking up, and now issuing a huge buy signal. Volume has also been on a steady increase. More money is flowing back to the stock markets. Trading, is it a good or is it a bad sign? I will not say anything about that. Last week I argued for there might be a time to buy. That was the time for next upturn was the exact title, and I give you arguments why I think that Nasdaq will push upwards. I still stay with this same idea. Very, very strong support below, a lot of resistance above, indicate that it will not be super fast, but I think we will head for steady upturns in the market. If everything fails, there will be support not far under today's level, and then just continue all the way down. In the long term, the charts are starting to look better than they have in a very, very long time. Anything can happen, and I say, as I repeat this again, I think geopolitical issues will be the one thing determining if these things are heading in the right direction or not for the future. Because nothing will hold if there will be more escalation. Then you just have to stick to my advice 5 years ago to just buy into gold and war stocks. Personally, I took the chance to get out of war stocks being very high. I also went out of gold because I believe that we see more voices speaking, rational speaks, bringing the world into what I believe is a better place. But all of this can shift very, very fast. You should never be so much exposure that you cannot handle a loss, because this can come instantly. It may happen with bad talks this week. Future escalation in Ukraine. Ukraine is now attacking inside Russia, deeply inside Russia, and that just increases the chances that we will have use of heavy weapons in Ukraine, which again will just force or give huge argument for NATO to get fully involved into the war, which again just will escalate further, in my opinion. Enough about that. Chart is, in my opinion, looking good. I believe it will be yet another green week for the markets. 5 minutes left. Let's get to the 5 signals and the $1,000 challenge. Last week I gave you the tickers Arcadia, Mr. Cooper, Hawkins, Woodware and Lee Auto. All of these were giving buy signals from my system. Only 2 of these stocks were able to go up. Woodware was up 5.5%, Hawkins was up 3.53%, while there was a slight loss in Mr. Cooper, a slight loss in Arcadia Pharmaceuticals, and also Leo Auto had a slight loss. But still, these 5 stocks, if you bought them on Monday and sold them on Friday, you bought them on Monday's opening, sold them on Friday's close, were up by more than 1% in average, the 5 of them. I'm not very impressed by this, and I see that I have too little time to work too hard on that system, but I have a lot of other lists which I work on, and here is 5 stocks with buy signals from very, very strong short-term trends. Let's see if that is a better option. Mercado Libre, MELI, is one stock. Current price, 2,563. Very expensive stock, but most brokers offer anyway fractional shares. Actually, all of these stocks, which I will mention now, belong in the upper class, price class of stocks, because the next one is Duolingo. Duolingo is in a very strong, nice upward trend, and everything indicates that it will continue. DUOL is number 2. Netflix, number 3, NFLX, and at $1,207, it may sound very expensive, but everything is indicating that Netflix will continue to push upwards. Then there is AppLovin, APP, which is currently sitting at $393. Also, this stock is indicating that it should push upwards this week. Last one, another famous one, is Meta. Meta is expected to continue up within the trend, currently sitting at $647. All of these stocks are very, very solid stocks. If real bad things happen, they will hold better than many of the stocks that we had before. That's the thing, when they are very big, they will handle swings much better. We will see if these 5 stocks will do good over the next week. I will give you an update to see how it went. We are hunting for the absolutely best 5-stock portfolio that we can, week from week, and I will continue to tune it. One thing remains, and that is the $1,000 challenge, and that comes at last. And maybe that is a good thing, I don't know. Anyway, there is nothing good to report from the $1,000 challenge. As I said in the opening, at one point we were up at $4,000. Now it is $2,550. It's down $1,450 since it peaked. The one thing that went very, very wrong was going into the same NEO. I bought NEO at $5.10, and currently NEO is sitting at $3.54. Coming with quarter results that can go really bad, and 10% up will only be $3.80. There doesn't seem to be any hope to recoup this investment in the short term. Since I got in, I'm down 30.59% in NEO. I mentioned, and I have to say that as well, that I bought a huge stake into NEO. Personally, I've been buying it every time I have something low, so I have a very, very nice average. But this has been a long journey, which may end in huge loss. If you're curious, you just have to remember to follow the podcast. You don't have to like it, but you have to follow it for sure if you want to know how I will do, and how the $1,000 challenge will do. I will stay in NEO. NEO will also be the $1,000 challenge this week. I think it is at perfect good levels, but I've been wrong so far, and we will just have to see. Tomorrow will be quarter results for NEO, and we will see how the market reacts. If they cut their losses, we can expect NEO to go up. I saw some estimates for NEO from Sachs, I believe it was, very well-renowned company, indicating based on the future estimates, earnings estimates for the company should go back to the $40. I don't sure that will happen. I have high hopes. So far, been totally wrong. The best investments I've done lately is into Nvidia, into Tesla, and a few other stocks. This is my gamble. Will the gamble pay off? Again, you just have to follow and stay tuned because I will give you the insight. Until next week, I can only wish you the best week possible. I hope that your portfolio will be much greener by the end of the week and than in the beginning of the week. I hope to see you back when I will be back next week. Until then, just bye.
Welcome to StockInvest.us Stock Analysis. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.